Hi, this is Ryan, and I almost dropped $400 on a cooktop because of a number printed on the box that my own house physically will not let me use. 10,600 watts. That's what the listing screamed at me. 5 burners, all of them blazing at once. I had the thing in my cart, and then I actually looked at the circuit it needed, did the math, and yeah, you can't run that. Not all of it, not together. The wiring won't allow it. So the number is technically real and also completely a lie, which is somehow worse than if they'd just made it up. That sent me down a hole. I'm gutting my kitchen this year, and every 7 gadgets you need in 2026 video kept shoving the same shiny stuff at me. Touchless faucets, Wi-Fi ovens. Not one of them mentioned this single gadget that actually decides whether you can stand to be in your kitchen, and it's the one nobody points a camera at. So here's what I genuinely couldn't answer when I started. Out of these 7 things everyone's telling you to buy, which ones earn it and which spec on the box is lying straight to your face? Subscribe because I already made the $400 mistake so you don't have to. Okay, let me set the scene because it matters more than it sounds like it should. Right now, my kitchen is studs and dust. Drywall's down on one wall, the old cabinets are stacked in the garage, and there's a fat orange wire stapled into a stud bay that my electrician ran for a 240-volt circuit. That wire is basically the whole reason this video exists. The part nobody warns you about with the renovation, the walls being open, is the cheap part. Once they close up, every gadget you wish you'd put in becomes a wiring job, a plumbing job, sorry, we'll have to cut into that job. The induction cooktop that needs its own circuit, almost free to wire right now while everything's exposed. Same cooktop retrofitted 2 years from now, $400 to $1,200 just to get power to the spot before you've spent a dime on the actual cooktop. So I bought it all, every one of the 7 things the Reno checklists swear you need. The induction top landed first, and I was not ready for the wait. You pull it out of the box expecting a pane of glass, and you get something that feels like a paving slab. Cold, dense, and if you run your palm across the surface, there's this faint grid you can feel underneath, the coils. First impression was honestly great. It looks like nothing. Black glass, no grates, no burners, the kind of thing that photographs beautifully. And file that word away, photographs, because it comes back to bite later. Then the faucet, touchless. Wave your hand, water flows. I dropped it on the counter, loaded the batteries, 4 AAAs, which already made me tilt my head a little, and waved. Worked first try. Felt a bit like magic. Also felt a bit like something that's going to quietly enrage me in about 8 months. No proof of that yet, just a feeling I'd learned not to ignore. The rest came in a clump. The instant hot water top with its little 2-gallon tank that bolts under the sink, the range hood, heavy, awkward, genuinely a 2 hands and a grunt job just to lift it up for a look, a wall oven with a touchscreen on the front, a dishwasher rated quieter than a whisper, allegedly, and a strip of under-cabinet lighting I almost forgot to order entirely, which, getting ahead of myself, would have been a real mistake. I keep calling these gadgets, but that's not quite right. Half of them are appliances. One's basically plumbing. What actually links them is timing. This is the single window where they're cheap to install, and the single window where it's worth sweating the details, because the wrong call means a decade of low-grade irritation or ripping the kitchen open all over again. And as I started laying everything out side by side, my stuff against the listings, the reviews, the spec sheets, a pattern showed up. The same one on every product. Each one led with a number, big, bold, hero number, top of the page, watts, CFM, decibels, stages. And the louder that number got, the less it actually seemed to tell me. So this is where it stopped being a shopping trip and turned into something closer to an investigation. I'm standing here holding this cooktop and the box says 10,600 watts like it's a flex. Then I look at the circuit in my wall and go, that math doesn't work. It physically can't. And the second I caught it on one product, I couldn't unsee it on the others. The faucet, the hood, the water filter. Every single one had a headline number that fell apart the moment you asked it one honest question. That's when it clicked that I wasn't reviewing 7 gadgets, I was taking apart 7 lies. Now, lie is a strong word, so let me bound it. I don't think there's a villain in a boardroom cackling about this. It's sneakier than that. It's the number that's completely true in a lab and completely false in your actual house. And every one of these 7 products is built around one. Here's what's on the table if you're renovating. You're about to drop somewhere between $3,000 and $8,000 on this stuff, bolt it into your walls, and live with the choices for 10 years. Pick by the hero number, and you end up with a kitchen that looks unbelievable in photos and quietly grinds on you every single day you cook in it. So I started pulling them apart one at a time, and the first one to fall was the one I'd been most sure about. Start with the cooktop because that 10,600 watt number had been gnawing at me. So I just called my electrician and asked him flat out. He kind of laughed. The circuit that cooktop runs on is 40 amps. Do the arithmetic, 40 amps at 240 volts tops you out at around 9,600 watts for the entire appliance. The box says 10.6 for 5 burners simultaneously. So no, you physically cannot light all 5 at full tilt, and the cooktop knows it. There's firmware in there quietly stealing power off one burner the instant you crank another. They call it boost. What it actually is a budget. A budget they printed on the box like it's a maximum. I tested it too. Pot of water on the big burner, boost on, second burner cranked up, and the first one visibly eases off. The boil slows down. You can watch it happen in real time. The number isn't a capability, it's a ceiling you're not allowed to reach. Fine, one down. Irritating, but survivable. Then I got to the faucet, and the faucet's lie is somehow dumber. 4 AA batteries to turn on water and a brand new kitchen. The whole sales pitch is touchless, hygienic, the future. And the part they tuck out of sight is that the whole thing hangs on a little solenoid valve that will fail eventually. And when it does, if you bought the wrong model, your faucet's a paperweight. The good ones let you bypass it and use the handle like a normal tap. The cheap ones just die. Identical wave your hand demo in every video. Wildly different outcome at year 3. And nobody doing an unboxing waves their hand for 3 years. Actually, back up. I'm making the faucet sound like the main villain, and it's not even the interesting one. The interesting one is the thing I was proudest of buying, the range hood. I went big. 1200 CFM stainless monster, the kind that looks like it belongs over a restaurant line. I was so sure of this one. More airflow, clear smoke faster. Obviously, that's not a spec you can fudge. 1200 CFM is 1200 CFM. Except I'm reading the install manual, the fine print nobody reads, and there's a line about makeup air requirements. So I dig in, and what I found I had to read 3 times. A hood that moves that much air doesn't just pull up smoke. In a tight, sealed, modern house, it can pull a vacuum on the entire room, hard enough that the easiest path for replacement air to sneak in becomes your furnace flue, your water heater vent. It can reverse the draft and drag combustion gases, carbon monoxide, back down into the house. I genuinely sat there for a second just going, wait, my range hood, the thing whose entire purpose is to make my kitchen cleaner and safer, if I buy it too powerful in my own freshly sealed up house, it can pull carbon monoxide back down the chimney? That's not a footnote. That's the kind of thing that trips actual building code. You're supposed to add a makeup air system to compensate, which is another $1,500 nobody breathed a word about. Meanwhile, the 400 CFM hood I'd written off as too weak, sized and mounted right, captures more of what actually rolls off your pan than the monster does. The big number was the wrong number the whole time. That one rattled me, and I don't rattle easy on this stuff. By the time I reached the instant hot and filter system, I already knew the dance. Find the hero number, ask it one honest question, and watch it fold. The number here was 5-stage filtration, 600 gallons a day. Sounds like a treatment plant bolted under your sink. Reality, one of those 5 stages, the reverse osmosis membrane, does basically all the work. The other 4 are sediment and carbon running cleanup. And that 600-gallon figure is a brand new membrane in a lab. The moment it starts fouling, which is immediately, that output quietly halves. The spec they don't print anywhere near the hero number is the one that decides whether you keep using the thing. The filters are proprietary. They cost you $100 to $180 a year, and the day you forget to swap one, your fancy filtered water tastes worse than the top it replaced. 4 products in, 4 hero numbers, 4 flavors of the exact same trick. And I still had 3 gadgets sitting on my counter, plus 1 question I couldn't shake. If every big number on the box is lying to me, then what on earth are you supposed to buy on? Okay, verdict. After all of it, here's where I landed, and it's simpler than you'd expect. Stop buying any of this stuff on the big number, the watts, the CFM, the gallons, the stages. Every one of those is the spec they want your eyes on because it's the one that's easiest to inflate. The number that actually decides whether you love your kitchen in 5 years is almost always the boring one buried in tiny font near the bottom of the page. The second I started shopping that way, the whole list reshuffled itself. The thing I was proudest of buying dropped to dead last, and the thing I almost forgot to order quietly became my favorite. Let me actually spend the money out loud, because that's the only test that means anything. The cooktop. If it were my money, and here it's closer to $2,000 than $8, I'm not chasing the highest wattage on the shelf. I'm buying the one with the quietest cooling fan and a real UL or ETL safety mark. Done. There's a mid-range induction unit, the kind that runs 1,800 to 2,400, that gives you maybe 85% of what a $3,000 Bosch does, and the missing 15% is stuff you'd never feel unless you cook for a living. That 10,000-watt bargain special I almost grabbed? Pass. Not because it's dangerous, because the fan whines under load and the customer support is an email address 11 time zones away. Faucet. If you're on any kind of budget, skip touchless entirely. A $90 single-handle Moen with the universal 1225 cartridge will outlast 3 of the fancy ones, and you can fix it yourself with a $15 part and 1 YouTube video. If you genuinely want touchless because you're elbow deep in raw chicken every night, fine. Buy one from Moen or Delta where the handle still works after the electronics quit. Pay for the bypass. Do not pay for voice control. You are never, not once, going to say, "Kitchen, turn on the faucet," and mean it. The hood. This is the one. And remember, this is the gadget I was most sure about and got most wrong, which is exactly why I trust this take. If it were my money, I'd buy a properly sized ducted hood at 400 CFM or under, mount it at the height the manual specifies, and run the duct with as few bends as I can manage. That's the whole strategy. It'll clear your kitchen better than the restaurant-grade monster. It won't try to strangle your furnace, and it won't spring a $1,500 makeup air requirement on you. The boring hood is the correct hood. I can't say that loudly enough. The instant hot and filter system. At first, I had this one written off as a flat-out scam. Then I sat with it, and it's more complicated than that. If your water is genuinely bad, well water, heavy minerals, and old lead pipe situation, a real RO system with an NSF certification number on it, not vague tested to NSF standards wording, earns its keep. For everyone else, an electric kettle and a $30 pitcher filter cover 80% of the use case with 0 plumbing and 0 proprietary cartridge ransom note every 6 months. Be honest about your actual water before you bolt that thing under your sink. And the under cabinet lighting, the thing I nearly didn't order at all. Cheapest item on this entire list, and it changed the room more than the cooktop did. One number matters, CRI, 90 or higher. Drop below that and your food looks gray, your counters look cheap, and you won't be able to name what's wrong. You'll just feel that the kitchen's a little off. Wire it now while the walls are open, because retrofitting it later is precisely the we'll have to cut into that job I warned you about at the top. So that's the whole game. 4 expensive lies, 1 near miss, and a 10-cent realization underneath all of it. The spec they shout at you is almost never the spec that matters. Shop the quiet number. If you're renovating this year, do me one favor. Before you buy any of these 7, find the hero number on the box. Then go hunt down the one they didn't put on the box. The fan noise, the cartridge part number, the mounting height, the CRI. That's the number that's actually going to be living in your kitchen with you for the next decade. I figured that out $400 and 1 minor carbon monoxide scare too late so that you don't have to. If this scared you clear of only one of these, stick around. I'm building out the rest of this kitchen over the next few weeks, and I'd genuinely rather you make these calls alongside me than learn them the way I did. See you in the next one.